This heat map shows Wuhan during its lockdown in February 2020. With no one outside and few factories open, the satellite image reveals a city in darkness. In the first quarter of 2020, the output growth of all industries in Wuhan sharply decreased, with one exception only: the local tobacco industry. People smoked more cigarettes, perhaps due to their anxiety or fears over the lockdown. The area pictured almost completely lacking in heat is Qingshan District, known as the 10-Mile Steel City. It's home to the famous Wuhan Iron and Steel Corporation. But by August, the industrial park significantly warmed up as it resumed operations. Another important industrial zone, Hanyang District, also slowly regained its former vitality. The output growth of Wuhan's industries dropped a huge 39.7% in the first quarter of 2020. The city reopened in April, but the figure was still negative 6.9% for 2020 and has not yet recovered to the 4.4% growth level of 2019. The tough journey of Wuhan's industrial recovery indicates a long and bumpy road ahead for the city's overall economy. Like the industrial sector, Wuhan's service industry is also slowly ticking up. The number of orders placed by Wuhan's residents on the food delivery platform Ele.me has still not returned to pre-pandemic levels. In many ways, recovery in Wuhan has been more difficult than in other major cities in China. During the lockdown last year, Wuhan's residents were extremely worried about their food supply. They purchased a lot of high-carb foods on Ele.me, such as peanuts, pancakes, corn, rice cakes, noodles, and potatoes during the lockdown. After the lockdown, the foods that became the most popular included coffee and bubble tea, which indicates that the normal lives in this city gradually returned. Food supply was a tough issue when the lockdown first started. The sowing, picking, and transporting of produce encountered obstacles because of vehicle and personnel controls during the lockdown. During the summer, Wuhan was hit by heavy rainfall, which once again affected agricultural planting. In 2020, total vegetable production in Wuhan fell by 5.9% year-on-year, but the decline rate has narrowed by 6.6 percentage points compared to the first half of the year. Huangpi District is one of the important areas for supplying vegetables in Wuhan. An assessment of spring planting in Huangpi District using satellite images shows recovery is in progress. For example, in Chijiawan Street, although yellow and red areas indicating that vegetables and grains were not planted as scheduled remain, the majority is still green. How does a city with a population of more than 10 million recover economically after a 2-month lockdown? A rare positive indicator for Wuhan was the Optics Valley's GDP growth of 5.1% in 2020. This is Wuhan's Optics Valley, an area of high and new tech industrial cluster. It was deserted during the pandemic, but the traffic flow is now returning to pre-pandemic levels. Emerging technology is the most promising field of Wuhan's development. In July 2020, the high-tech manufacturing industry grew by 26.2%, 27.2 percentage points higher than the total combined growth rate of the city's industries. Wuhan's darkness on the satellite map at the start of 2020 represents the toughest time for China's economy. But its luminosity, which is increasing day by day, is also an indicator of China's brighter economic future.